Good afternoon and welcome to Matchday vlog as the Hornets take on Bristol City, the Robins, in Matchday 42 of the EFL Championship season 2022-23. Yep, we're back at Vicarage Road. Goodness knows why, but you know, it's football. That's what it does to you. It keeps you on the hunt for matches, even though you know the season's really over from a Watford point of view. It has been for a few weeks now, but we go and watch our team with pride, whatever division they're in, whatever state the club is in terms of the ownership. It is a bit of a mess right now, and next season I think there needs to be a complete cultural reset. But they've still got 4 more games this season, so let's just see these games out now, see how many players leave, which will be a lot next season, and then go from there really. But interesting team news, obviously facing our former head coach Nigel Pearson. Sorry about that. Facing our former head coach Nigel Pearson today. Obviously he was controversially sacked back in July of 2020 in the lockdown season. Ahead of that game against Man City and Arsenal, and then we got relegated that season. That was kind of the season where it all started going badly when we sacked Javi Gracia. So yeah, it would be nice to welcome back Pearson. Ultimately I think I liked him at periods of his time at Watford. It's just a shame how it ended really. It must have been some sort of a fallout from that defeat to West Ham. But yeah, looking at this game, it's probably going to be tight. Bristol City right behind us in the table. Again, they're probably too far off now to just like us go for playoffs. But their form has actually been quite good, Bristol City, recently. You know, they beat Stoke quite recently. They've got a few wins in their last couple, whereas we've only got 2 wins in something like our last 14 games or 10 games. So, you know, this Watford side is low on confidence, low on belief, and low on, you know, that end goal. What is our end goal these players are fighting for? There isn't one, because this season has just gone Pete Tong. So look, at the end of the day, at least we're not going down. We've got to try and take some positives, but it's pretty bleak in every other sense of the word. What I will be hoping for Watford today is simple. We're not asking for much. We just want to see the lads give 110% today, and just a decent performance is all we're asking. Against Huddersfield, we were very decent in the first half, and then it was a case that second half we just completely took our eye off the ball. And you know, I know that conceding a goal is absolute, you know, recipe for disaster for this Watford side, but it'd be nice if we just didn't fold as soon as we concede like we did against Coventry. You know, the first 60 minutes of that Coventry game, we played well. We looked like the players were up for it, and they were actually chasing, you know, pressing, going for every ball, and putting challenges in. But too often this Watford group of players just don't seem up for it. Now I want us to be up for it. I know it's too late, too little, too late in this season, but give the fans something to cheer about, because the toxic atmosphere in the game last week at Vicarage Road against Huddersfield was just unpleasant. And look, the fans had all right to make their feelings known. They've been very, very patient this season, and the players just didn't look like they cared. I mean, I'm sure they do care, but they just didn't look like they knew what they were doing against Huddersfield, and it was much better against Coventry. But we just gotta keep 90 minutes of performance up. You know, we can't let ourselves go into our shell like we did in the second half against Coventry, because teams will punish you. And as I say, with Bristol City's current form, they'll have a bit of a spring in their step. So hopeful of a victory today. A couple of changes to the team that played Coventry. Obviously that was a good couple of goals, you know, especially that one from Joao Pedro, the solo run, and that was his 10th of the season. So he's having a really good campaign in a tough one for the team in general, and he's going to definitely leave in the summer. But Loser as well, he's going to be a key player for us today, I think. controlling that midfield, spraying those beautiful diagonal balls and really getting us on the front foot. We've missed him for a lot of the season, but he has shown a few, really good moments. And one of those moments was last week with his goal that, he just on the second attempt put it away really nicely. So I do think this is the sort of game that we can really go at Bristol City, and we have nothing to lose. We had nothing to lose against Huddersfield. We really messed that one up from a winning position. So let's just hope we drive home the advantage when we do go in front, and then defensively just look a bit more solid throughout the whole game and stop playing into the opposition's hands. Like, why we play it around the back, I do not know. Just cut out that nonsense and let's not make it easy for the Robins today. I think ultimately I'm hoping for the win. Do I think we will win today? Probably not, because it's just been our season, but I'm going to say an optimistic Watford win. Watford 2, Bristol City 1. Watford to score first for once through Hamza Chowdhury on 29 minutes, his first goal for the Hornets. And then Bristol City equalise in the first half, because we often don't hold on to a lead for very long. And that is a goal from Zach Viner on the 39th minute. And then in the second half, Watford battle away, and they get their winner through Ismail Assar on the 74th minute. But look, let's just go for it today, lads. 90 minutes of a decent performance is all we're asking for. And it'd be nice, it really would, to get a clean sheet today. Those have been hard to come by this season, but we will see. Come on, you Horns! Let's just get back a bit of pride from this shambles of a season.
Take the own goal. Get in. Come on. 6 minutes in. Watford. I don't know who scored the own goal, but we don't care. We'll take what we can get.
happened there?
Hang on, it was our corner.
What happened? How did we give that away? What's the time? 90?
The fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 5 additional minutes to be played.
That was 5 then, really. It's weird, you probably have more than that.
Safe hands.
It's finished at Vicarage Road in my final game of this season, believe it or not. Watford 2, Bristol City 0. That's at least something. At least something for the Hornets fans to have a small smirk about, but nothing more, nothing less. It's 2-0 Watford, and the goal scorers on the game today, João Pedro and an own goal from Harry Cornick, the ex-Luton player. That's quite satisfying, that is, to be fair. I say satisfying, hopefully Luton do bottle the playoffs, because that's where they'll be headed. But looking at the Watford situation, you look at it and say, 3 points off the playoffs. It could still happen. No. There are so many teams. I mean, the tightness of this championship season cannot be understated. But there are so many teams above us in terms of position that even though the points look close, you would have to have all of those teams drop points simultaneously and for us to win all of our remaining games, which is just not going to happen. We've not won more than 2 games in a row, I'm pretty sure, all season, so it just won't happen. But we have to kind of make a few things clear about today's win. Number one, it was not the polished article, it was not amazing, but it was better than we've been used to recently, which has been very, very poor. But the second point to make is the nature of the goals today were a bit fortuitous. But to be honest, we've been such a dire run of form. You know, before today, 2 wins from 14. It's really bad. But look, going into it, you take this absolutely a bit of comfort for the Watford fans who've really had to put up with a lot of rubbish this season. At least it was a bit more of an effort from each player to put on a bit of a performance, put on a bit of a show. We said before the game we just wanted a 90-minute performance that was at least decent, and not 45 minutes of decent performance and then another 45 of the players just losing their power and their pace and their passion. But there was much more desire on show today from the Hornets, much more than previous weeks, which, you know, it is unfortunately far too late and too little too late, but it's something. It's a small crumb of comfort. And yeah, as I say, the goals today were a bit fortuitous. You look at the first one, it was an own goal from Harry Cornick, but it was a bit of a nightmare from the back line of Bristol City. And I will say, the other way that this game was fortuitous was just the fact that Bristol City, in an attacking point of view, in the final third, when they created a lot of chances, they did not take them. And, you know, it was just one of those days for Bristol City. I think they just couldn't quite find that sharpness. But, you know, there was a couple of saves in the first half that Bachmann made, and important saves with headers. A header, first of all, at the near post from a corner, and a really good save actually, Bachmann diving down to his right. And then there was another header that came in, and it was really, really well whipped in, but fortunately the player who had the shot couldn't quite get the power on it, and it just, Bachmann was kind of retreating back and trying to get back in his goal. He made the save, he caught it in midair, had to kind of, you know, collide with the post a little bit because he was trying to get back in position, but fortunately it wasn't too hard to save in that respect. But then the second half we looked a bit better, and Bachmann did have an important save to make in the second half. It was a strong shot and it was clawed away brilliantly by the Austrian. And then also, you know, Bristol City having a couple chances where there was one quite close range and it was fired over. So Bristol City on another day could have really been more clinical, but they didn't put us to the sword. However, as I say, it was a mix-up for the goal, and for once Watford scoring an early goal on 6 minutes. It was a nice free kick actually, set-piece routine, Loser chips it in really well, and I got the video footage of the goal, as it was messy, but it was still nice build-up from Watford. Loser into Pedro, and Pedro just kind of put the ball into the danger area, and it just knocked between the two defenders, and Cornick had a bit of a mess up. So yeah, that was nice to go in and get the first goal. But then we kind of, after that goal, the kind of pattern of the game changed a little bit. You know, we started quite well, but then Bristol City had a few chances, and you kind of thought, okay, we're maybe a little bit lucky to be winning, but at the same time, you know, we weren't playing terribly. Ultimately, it did quicken up in pace a little bit in the second half, and we did get our second goal from João Pedro. Again, a little bit fortuitous because he had the shot, Pedro, fairly far out, but just kind of thought, yeah, I'm gonna take the plunge, and if you know what they say, if you don't buy the ticket, you might not win the raffle. So he did that for once. Watford players actually gambling a little bit and having a shot. And ultimately the goalkeeper had a bit of a stinker. I mean, I looked at it again and didn't think it took a deflection from Pedro, but it was one of those ones, it goes through a crowd and the goalkeeper just didn't get his body behind it at all, and it came at him and he just kind of let it go straight through him. So it was not a fine moment for Bristol City's goalkeeper. But ultimately, another goal, 11th goal in the Championship this season. I wish I said the Premier League. But Pedro, he's a great player, and I know we always say to him, release the ball sooner. You know, he loves to dribble and sometimes takes too much of that, too many flicks in the wrong places. But what would we do without him? He has been a great signing. It's just a shame that most of the seasons he's played for us has been in the Championship. But yeah, he's had a good season. He's been a bright star in a pretty bad bunch. So yeah, good to get the second goal. We could have driven it home a little bit more, but then towards the end it was just Bristol City, as I say, had a few chances. A bit nervy from us at the back, as always. But it's just nice to get that clean sheet for once. And for once, Hamza Chowdhury didn't pick up a yellow card. So yeah, it's a bit of a collector's item, that one. So if we talk about the performances of the players themselves, as I say, Backman made a few good saves, so I think he can help keep his head held high. He was barking orders towards the end and trying to get them organised, so that was good. In the right back spot, I thought man of the match today was a really impressive performance. Yet again, second start in a row. He got given the chance, Ryan Andrews. He's one of our own, of course, and looked really good, I thought, against Coventry. Got subbed off, but then he also played really well today. And there wasn't too many standout performers today. I thought Ismail Assar was much better than usual, and what I mean by that is he often gets criticised for his lack of effort and his lack of commitment. But a few times today, Sarr winning headers. We don't often see that, and it worked quite well. It was a few chances where it was one from a Sarr header, then immediately he decides, rather than slowing it down, which he often does do, he knocked it on and then received the pass again, had the shot. It was a bit of a tame effort, but it was saved. And then also with Sarr, he actually showed that commitment to, if he lost the ball, he went and won it back and tackled, and we don't often see that. So yeah, good performance from Sarr today. Didn't get the goal, but decent enough performance. And as I say, really good game from Andrews today. Second game in a row he's played well, and he just sticks to his role. He just does the basics really well. And I thought he's kept tight to his man really well today, stuck to his job, and I was really impressed by him. So the future is bright. Ryan Andrews, of course, has his father linked with the club, so it's a nice thing to see one of the homegrowns doing well. The centre backs today, I've got to say, in the first half they looked a bit shaky, I have to say. But I think Wesley, who I think has been a good signing, he grew into the game. I think at the start he looked a bit nervy, but as the game went on he got a bit better, and it was a solid performance, nothing spectacular, but he was fairly capable today. And also Porteous, he had his moments today, did get booked, but ultimately an okay performance from Porteous. I think that partnership has been it's been much improved from what it was when we had Troost-Ekong and when we had Kabasele, and I ultimately think it would be nice if those players had come in sooner. But look, at the end of the day, it was a decent performance still, nonetheless. Hassan Kamara at left back, I thought had a decent game again. Ultimately, he does love to go forward, which means he gets kind of sometimes a bit exposed tracking back, but I thought he was alright today. We had Chowdhury in the midfield, as I say, got stuck in with challenges, really looked decent. Loser next to him, I thought had a good game. I thought he was up there for players this today. He controlled the tempo quite well, and he just looked really kind of sharp on the ball, doing the basics, but also doing some slightly harder things well. The rest of the midfield, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think on that left-hand side, I do like to see, a bit more pace in that wing position. I think Semen not playing today did mean we didn't have as much of it, with Kamara kind of pushing forward. But look, at the end of the day, I think still that midfield of Chowdhury and Loser was okay today. And we had Kone come off the bench, and I thought he looked quite good as well. We also had Davis start from the get-go. He struggled a little bit, I thought, in the first half, just to kind of make the ball stick, because you feel for him. He doesn't have a lot of support up there, and he's just kind of relied on to get the ball and get it playing for us. But I think he was okay. I mean, he got subbed off early, Davis, but you know he's had a few injuries, so I guess he's trying to get back to fitness. And then we had a few substitutions. Ngakia came on for Sarr. Again, Ngakia looked all right. I never think Ngakia does a terrible job. I think he's a solid option. And yeah, so ultimately that was that for the game. As I say, I was really impressed with Andrews. Not an amazing performance from Watford, but like I say, a bit better, a bit more passion on show. It is ultimately too little too late, but look, we look ahead to next season. It could be a very, very different season, different personnel, different manager, of course. I just hope there's a different culture and a different approach to this next season, because if we're going to have another mid-table finish, then it could take a long time for those Watford players to be tasting Premier League football again. But trust the process. We've got to strip things back and start from fresh a little bit, and maybe trust the manager for once and have a long-term plan in place. So hopefully the owners decide to do that, and if the owners, you know, do just fess up to their mistakes of the past 4 or 5 years, then hopefully we can get going and make some progress. But that was Watford 2, Bristol City 0, and it was a win which we haven't seen at Vicarage Road for a long time, since Blackpool. So decent enough, we'll take it. As I say, a few more games to go this season, not much to play for, but other than pride, let's just keep our heads held high as much as we can, despite a bit of a disappointment this season has been. So I'll see you very, very much in the long future, but I hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.